Hey, RJ, thank you so much for coming to my podcast. This
Absolutely.
is called CEO Chats, where I get to talk with other CEOs about what they do, how they got there, and where they want to go. And
Awesome.
I want people to know that me and RJ know each other from high school. And so I've been following his journey all the way back from when he was 18 playing basketball. And now he is a realtor. Now he's a contractor. He's flipping houses. And you've always been such a genuine person and such a genuine soul from when I knew you back then. So I know it was never a switch up. And I know that, you know, now that you have your family, you are definitely someone that people could trust for real estate advice and for real estate services.
I appreciate that. No, I appreciate that, Nicole, and you know, vice versa, right? I've been following your growth as well, and it's awesome to see. I'm glad we can reconnect. I really am.
Yeah, absolutely. And you know, I don't really know much about how you got started, so I kind of want to start there and like kind of bring people in on your journey.
No, absolutely. So for me, I kind of took the standard route, right? The way that my parents taught me: work hard, go to school. You know, I played basketball, so I was always thinking pro. Then I got hurt. And then after that, it was kind of like, you know, get a job, go into corporate America. So that's what I did. I graduated from Dartmouth. You know, I had an Ivy League degree, so I was like, oh yeah. So I was like, all right, let's go to corporate America. Let's climb our way up the corporate ladder. So I did that. I was working in consulting here in Center City, Philadelphia. You know, after about 4 or 5 years, I was like, you know, this is not fulfilling me the way I wanted to be fulfilled. But I felt like I was doing the right thing, but my soul just wasn't sitting right. So I you know, started doing research and trying to figure out how I could escape the rat race, right? As everybody says. And like most folks, I picked up Rich Dad Poor Dad by Robert Kiyosaki, and started learning about assets. Then I had friends here in the city who were investing in real estate and stocks. So I kind of explored both options, starting with stocks. But I found out pretty quickly that, you know, I'm a very hands-on person. And in stocks, you kind of got to trust the market or trust advisors. So for me, that wasn't the route I chose. Then I learned about real estate from friends who I was playing basketball with at the gym. There was like two brothers in particular, right? They were always at the gym, always hooping. And I'm like, yo, how do you guys, you know, always have time to hoop, yet, you know, you still live in a nice neighborhood, nice houses. And they just were like, you know, real estate. And that's really when I got interested, started learning about the different forms of real estate, from wholesaling to flipping to long-term passive investing through rentals. And I've tried at this point, I've tried all three and kind of found my niche. But that's kind of what piqued my interest in how I got into it. It wasn't like family as much as it was just seeing what my friends were doing and just kind of finding my own path through trial and error.
Wow, I love that story. There's so many pieces, bro, because you went to Dartmouth, you were in corporate America, and there was a point in your life where you were like, I did everything I was supposed to do, but I'm not happy. This is not where I want to be. So many people just kind of trug along and continue to kind of be in that state because that's what everybody expects from them.
Absolutely.
And you were like,
and people get comfortable. And for me, it's like, somebody told me, like, look at your boss or look at, you know, the person ahead of you on the ladder and see if that's the life you want to live. And great people, extremely intelligent people working at the firm I was at. But, you know, when I looked at their lives of traveling all the time, which, you know, could be a plus, but also just giving like 50, 60, 70, 80 hours a week to the job, I just was like, you know, that wasn't for me. I wanted free time. I wanted to be able to do, you know, more meaningful things and give my time and energy to other things. And I knew I couldn't do that if I was chasing that, you know, high 6-figure salary in corporate America. So
wow,
I did other things.
Well, good for you. And that's a part of our theme for the month, which is self-love and identifying those things within yourself and manifesting it. And you said you have a niche, and I want to ask you, what's your niche now?
Yeah, and I say that, and like I said, I've tried pretty much everything. I'll continue to flip. You know, I think that's a great way to increase capital really quickly. So I'll continue to do that as well as wholesaling. But small multifamily conversions, you know, I don't want to give away my secret. No, I'm joking. But small, yeah, but that's kind of what I'm doing right now. So I'm finishing up a triplex in North Philly, and actually I got one unit rented, and tomorrow I'm gonna take photos and put it to market for the other 2 units. But that's kind of what I want to do from here on out, because you can really grow your equity quickly. You can help people because I invest in the hood and in the middle neighborhoods. So I really feel like I'm helping the population by providing clean, brand new housing at a level that most landlords don't want to do in those neighborhoods. And also it still makes sense from a fiscal perspective, right? I can still go into MLS and find deals, because people don't think about turning a row home into a 3-family or 4-family, etc. But that's kind of what I'm doing. Yeah.
So a man who went to prep school and went to Dartmouth, you in the hood now.
It's kind of crazy.
Hey, aren't you scared? Like, that's Philly. That's the highest murder capital in the country.
Right. But the news, they sensationalize everything, right? Like when you go to the neighborhood, to the hood, like where I'm at now is right off of Erie Avenue, which is, I guess, notorious, has a notorious reputation for drugs and crime. But in the neighborhoods, the majority of the people, 99% of the people, they just want to live a good, comfortable life. They're just moms with kids, you know what I mean? And then the 1% who are, trapping and doing the negative things, they're the ones that get all of the news, you know what I mean? So even in those neighborhoods, and people say all the time, well, do you really want to deal with a C-class, D-class neighborhood? I'm like, if you look at it like that, I get it, but at the same time, like the majority of folks, they want the same things that everybody else wants. You know what I mean? Just good, healthy environments to raise their kids. So
right. You're right.
It's all
okay.
good. You know what I mean?
I'm gonna leave you alone, but I want to ask you, like, where'd you get the confidence to do this? Because are you from Philly?
I moved around a lot because my dad was in the Army, but my mom she's from Philly. Yeah.
Okay.
And I lived in Philly for like 8 years growing up, so I've always considered it home. Yeah.
Okay. Because I needed to become a landlord first before I started flipping. And my first flip was in the neighborhood that I had rental properties. So
really?
Yeah, I had to have so much security to even get started. So I'm like wondering what pushed you.
I got you. I kind of felt the opposite way. So you had rentals prior to flipping, right?
Yeah. And my first flip, I had already knew what my house was worth. So like I bought this house at auction for $55,000, and I already knew this was like $130,000 come up. I already been in the house because I talked to the neighbors. I looked through, like I had so much like squared away, and that was my first ever one. So
no, I got you, and that makes sense. For me, it's like I needed money. I had no money, so I knew I had to start by wholesaling and flipping just so I could get capital to invest in rentals. And then just running my numbers. Once I learned the 70% rule, right? Or what's the one where the 1% rule where you rent for 1% of whatever the value is, and the 70% rule where you got to be all in at 70% of the ARV. You know what I mean? Coming from corporate America, I was familiar with spreadsheets. So once I was able to really just learn those basic formulas and learn how the industry works, I had a level of comfort in doing that. And then the city, I just always had a comfort level in the city, having spent time here growing up, family here and friends here. That just never was really a concern for me personally either.
So for me, like I've had a hard time finding partnerships with contractors. So like that's a huge thing. I know you are a contractor, but you probably need partnerships to kind of put it together fully in different areas. Absolutely. So what do you do about that?
That's a great question. And that's the $1 million question, Nicole.
I want to know.
No, that's the $1 million question. I don't know if I have the right answer. And honestly, I think that all levels, right? From like the biggest developers who subcontract to other big firms, all the way down to like, the first time investor who's going through Facebook trying to find contract, or at Home Depot. Everybody struggles with it, right? Because it's, partially just human nature. But for me, trial and error, honestly. I started by finding contractors off of social media, kind of quickly found out that wasn't the proper route for me. Then I started getting referrals, and then I'll just pull up to guys in the city who are doing work, and I'll just say, hey, do you do plumbing? Or, are you an electrical sub? Do you do finished carpentry, whatever, et cetera, et cetera. And I'll just pop in, park the car, go into the property, check out their work. And if, if I get the right vibe from them, I'll bring them I'll bring them out to my jobs. And
what? So you drive around, look for contracting trucks,
absolutely.
And you just be walking in on the job site.
Absolutely. Just walk in.
Wow.
That's like the best way that I've found to do it. Cause you're catching people off guard, so they don't have time to like finesse you by, getting fake recommendations or whatever. You know what I mean?
Right. And you see their work in real time. Like, if they're doing a good job.
Right. And then, everybody says the Home Depot trick, but if I'm gonna go find a contractor at Home Depot, I'm going at 6 a.m. Because you are about it if you're in Home Depot or Lowe's at 6 a.m. prepping for a job.
Right.
Or if you're in Home Depot at Sunday night at like 8 o'clock prepping for that week's job, then I think, that's a good sign. Especially, you go 6 a.m. on Monday, the dudes that are there, they're not waking up at 10 o'clock to go to their jobs. They're focused. You know what I mean? They're locked in the same way I am. So I'll do that as well, but it's still trial and error. And now, I have a good set of subs. So I have my GC license in the city and I can do work, but I'm obviously not the skill level that these other guys are. So I sub out everything. And, now I have a good nucleus of guys that I can sub work out to get my jobs done.
Nice. I have my contractor's license in New Jersey.
Oh, nice.
Yes.
That's
so
dope.
I'm gonna hit you up after this. Maybe we could do something.
Just let me know. I'm interested in Jersey. If you're interested in Philly,
Yes, absolutely. And I feel like so many investors, I feel like it's like sometimes people think it's a competition, but you could really partner with people. Like, relationships to me are everything. So
that's huge, Nicole. And I don't mean to cut you off.
No, go ahead.
I gotta say something about that. Like, this kind of crabbing and barrel mentality that so many people have, especially people, Black and brown people, for whatever reason, it's a killer in our community. People don't want to see others, or maybe it's not that. I don't know what it is subconsciously, but for whatever reason, we don't get together and partner the way that, others do, and other ethnicities do. And, and I think I was like that to begin with, but now I'm like, man, I don't have a scarcity mentality anymore. I know that what's for me is for me. So I'm willing to, give out whatever I can to other people to see them win, because it's going to come back. So I think that's critical, those partnerships. Absolutely. Yeah,
absolutely. And it's like, so for me, I guess I definitely probably started with the hush hush, like, oh, I need to be, just for me, because I didn't think that there was enough out there, because I felt like I didn't have enough. So if there's not enough for me, there's not enough for me to split it in 2, 3, 5 different ways. But what I realized is, after I made a critical partnership, I partnered with someone who did have a contracting, experience, and it made the systems a lot easier. So my growth could be bigger. So I could do things quicker, and more things. So I definitely believe in the power of partnerships.
Absolutely.
And not having a crab in the barrel mentality. So one of my last questions I want to ask you is, what advice would you give to someone who's watching this and like wanting to get into the real estate industry and just scared?
Absolutely. I think what do they call it, Nicole? Paralysis analysis, or analysis by paralysis. No, wait, whatever they say.
Analysis paralysis.
You're never going to know everything. You're never going to be able to check all the boxes. Like, you just got to get out there and do it. You know what I mean? Life is short. Like, just, learn as much as you can, then go and do it. At the end of the day, you're going to learn more by being in a deal or being out doing stuff than you are behind a computer kind of analyzing things anyways. And no deal is perfect, especially right now with everything inflated. But just find something that works and go for it. Jump into it. Don't wait. You can't wait years and years or months and months to kind of get into it.
Yes, so I completely agree with that. Do it scared. Like, you're scared, just do it scared.
Do it scared.
I love that. And so one of my last questions, since you touched on it, let me ask one more. You said everything's inflated. So do you think that the market's going to crash? Because I feel like people would want to know.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not an economist, but everything is cyclical, right? So, it's a matter of, if the trend holds true, it's only a matter of time before things come down. And you see it all over the place. It could stay like this forever and, and just keep going up, but I don't think so. I think, anybody who has any sense of trend analysis knows that eventually it's going to level off. So yeah.
I feel that. I don't know. For me, I don't think it's going to crash per se, but I could see a dip, but then over time, over the next 20 years, obviously everything trends up. So if you're thinking of long-term investments, that's real estate's always a good way to go.
Absolutely. And right now inventory is low. There's a high demand, and there's shortages all over the place in the marketplace. But it's going to catch up, and the government's going to always incentivize home buying and home building. So like you said, I think it might be a small correction, then it will trend back up over the long term. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Well, thank you, RJ, so much for joining my podcast. I think people are going to really enjoy this content, especially the people from Hun that watch it. So I'm excited for them to see you, because I feel like you be ghost a little bit. You don't really.
I do. And listen, Nicole, I have a great respect for you, and I've been following your journey. I think that, you're so talented in terms of the real estate stuff, but also in terms of I don't know if this is entertainment, but this kind of field, media, right?
Yeah.
So when you asked, a few other people have asked, and I'm like, but when you asked, I had to say yes, because I think very highly of you.
Yes. Thank you so much. And that's a wrap for our episode. Guys, you can follow RJ. I'm going to put his information down below and just comment on his page and be like, hey, I saw that episode with you and Nicole. Thank you so much for that information. We want more. Just comment. Support him. RJ is really amazing and super authentic. I would definitely hit that follow button and watch his journey as he continues to grow, because we are both still super young and it's still super early on our journey, so where we'll be in 5, 10, 20 years. This is only the beginning. And thank you guys so much for watching.